Hey, how's it going? Edward, how are you? Well, that's good. Good's always good, right? I'm not doing bad, Edward. How's things year end? Yeah, I haven't done a live in a long, long time. People were asking me, so I got some time. I figured I'd do it today. Let me. There, that's better. I don't have to hear myself while I'm trying to do this. Alan, how are you? Mexico, that's cool. Yeah, that one was. I didn't have my camera rotation on for that one, Edward, so it wanted me to do it in portrait mode, and that's always sucks. So I'll wait till we get some people here. Let me go put it on the groups. I'm live right now. I'll be with you guys in 1 second. See if we can find the other. Anybody's going to be in that one. There. Okay. Spidey V, how's Vic? How's Scotland treating you? So I see that Tarantula guy 1976 is back. How's everybody feel about that? I'm hanging in there, Vic. We got a delay. I can see the delay already. Christian, how are you? Christian, where are you from again? I forgot. Denmark, yeah, that's what I thought. Hello, Rach. Is Sophie with you? What's he promoting, Edward? I just saw a quick video of his the other day about rehousing a pink toe. That's all I really saw. I'm not really a huge fan. I would think limestone would be okay, Christian. I would. If you're trying to make like a rock face, is that what you're trying to do? Like a rock wall? I would think limestone would be it because they like to chew out that, the the mortar, the more that they hold the rocks together when they build those walls, that's what they like to get into. But they all don't live that way too. They live in pine forests, so you have to see. I mean, I guess it would depend on. I don't think there would be a locale difference between them. I mean, I have the one that's from Egypt. My smaller one died the last weekend. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with them. Ooh, school. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad. I'm glad I'm not watching then because I don't want to watch a bunch of stupid advertising. And you got what 100,000 fans? He's got 101,000 fans. Ian, how are you? Gandalf, nice to see everyone. I'm gonna have all my European friends here. Well, we'll see what happens in the. I got Edward's my only American friend right now, I believe, in here. I think so too, Edward. I think it came and gone a long time ago, even when he was doing it. He was very charismatic back then and funny and jovial and, didn't know as much as what people thought he did, but he wasn't a bad guy. I don't think he was ever a bad guy, but I do think that he walked away long enough that he's still making money off his videos. There's no reason to come back and do stupid advertising. I got new stuff yesterday, 3 new spiders. I think some of you guys saw it on the group. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that with some of the YouTube channels. I know people don't like when I do these videos, but there's been so much controversy over. Yeah, we are, Ian. There's been so much controversy over YouTube channels lately. We got to the point on the Tarantula community group that we don't even allow talk of Exotic's lair anymore because it's just a shitstorm. It's terrible. The people that defend him and the people that can't stand him, there's no middle ground with him. And these people that watch some of these bigger, larger channels are fooled into thinking that a lot of these people know what they're doing. And they're all, I mean, he says it a bunch of times. He's not an expert, but, people emulate things that he does or, Tom Moran does or myself or, Edward or, any of these people that are on YouTube that people enjoy watching. They'll emulate what they do, not even trying to figure out if they're right or wrong. And that's kind of disheartening at a point, but I like the people that just do it to have fun, just do YouTube videos to have fun and not worry about what other people say or care or think and just have fun. But L. Carpenteri, that's the Lampropelma. The only Carpenteri I know is Chilobrachys, but I'm sure that there's other Carpenteris. That's Edward. This is kind of why I took such a hiatus last year. I mean, a lot of it was time and health, and we worked a lot of hours and just tired and just had no ambition to do it. But I really got disheartened with the way YouTube went last year and the direction that it went. And dealing with it on the Tarantula community group, the backlash of all the stuff that people are saying, well, this guy said this, or this guy said that, or she said this, and then you're like, that doesn't mean that it's true. That you fight that a lot, but Tom's a good guy. I mean, he'll be another one. Tom Moran will say 100 times he's not an expert, and I think out of all the people that do videos that present information, he's more genuine than most. He doesn't really recycle information. He does a lot of research on his own. He doesn't go to other people to get answers to questions for their videos instead of doing the stuff himself. Observations. I always liked Tom. Never had a problem with Tom. And Dave Scott was another one I thought was a real good guy. Very genuine. Very easy to listen to. Yeah, but this is kind of why I got away from it last year. I'm hoping to get it into a little bit more YouTube videos this year than I did this past year. Well, it won't be really hard because I think I only did like maybe 12 videos last year, if that. I can never say that one. Hanumu Villa Sumika. Sumika. That one's always been hard for me to say. I'm not a big pokey guy. I only have the one. Yeah, I was going to pick another Metallica up yesterday, but I changed my mind. I got 3 different things instead. But I just have my species Highland female that I've had for 4 years. Looking for a male for her. Not easy to find the males of that species for some odd reason. We found one last year. We did a pairing, but it didn't take. She molted out of it. Yeah, I got a boost. I mean, my channel got a boost from Memulus. I went from 2,400 up to, what are we at? A little over 3,000 now in a short period of time. It helps when someone, does that, and they just see a video that someone that's a bigger channel says, hey, go check out this guy, and then you get a bunch of people that come over. And I had a lot of people say, yeah, I enjoyed the stuff, even though I don't really like spiders. I enjoyed the videos. That's why I do the videos the way I do. I try to keep them real. I'm not flashy. I don't want to be Hollywood here. Just every day, I'm a normal everyday white collar worker, and I want everything that I do here to be the same. Yeah, you could do that all you want, Edward, but I'll still say it wrong every single time. I always get the middle part wrong, the Mavilla. I get the Sumika down pretty easily, but yeah, some channels blew up. I mean, they went crazy. Exotics Lair, um, Dark Den, and some of the guys that are bigger that don't get the recognition that they deserve is like Spider-Man Alan Hicken. I think he should get more credit because he's been doing it a lot longer than all those people over there in Europe. He was just on the BBC. I saw. He's a very down to earth, kind of guy too, and I like realism. I think there were a lot of channels were that way in the beginning. Mark, for Mark's Tarantulas, he was that way. I loved what he did in the beginning, and then I kind of just lost it. Not that I don't like the people, I just don't like what they do anymore. You gotta say it one more time. Hold on, let me go back up so I can see how you broke it down again. Anuma Villa Sumika. I just got a new one yesterday, and I still can't pronounce that one. It's like Kotstalena or Kotstalema, Olatalemi, something like that. I got to say it a bunch of times before I get it down. That's a new species that was discovered in 2012. Like they just started getting into the hobby now. Mexican tarantula from Jorge Mendoza found them and discovered them and specified them. They're from Guerrero down in Mexico. Really cool. Different, another slow growing thing that probably will get its adult colors before I'm still here on this earth, but it is a huge competition, and that's and what happens with the competition is that people downgrade other people, or they say they're going to do things for people and then they don't do them. That was part of my problem. I think I talked to Vic about this a little bit back when I did that Christmas video, the 26 days or 12 days or whatever it was that we did, that Vic did the song for. When I did the group video, there were so many people that said, oh yeah, I'll do it. And then I was scrambling, and I only had the people that did it. And then I put a couple in there that did it last minute only because I pestered them, and it was just out of pity. And I really shouldn't have added them, but that's the way it is, Hey JP, how are you? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Mimius, I watched a couple of his things before. I didn't know who he was. Someone just took a screen capture and said, look at this at whatever minute it was. And so I watched the video, and he said it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then boom, it just like blew up. I was getting, within like hours, I had like 50, 60, 70 new subs. It just blew right up. But it was cool. I mean, once you get to 3,000, usually, I mean, I've grown a lot since then, and not people from Memulus. People are starting to watch a little bit more. So that's why I got to start doing it more. No, there's a ton of groups, Christian, tons of them. And the reason that there are tons of them is because people don't like the rules of one, and they think that they're going to be able to manage a group better. So they go and try and make a group, and then no one goes there, or the same exact people that are in this group go there, and then the same people that are problems in one group go there and create problems in another group. It doesn't change anything. It's just the admin team that changes really. Um, the atmosphere from group to group, depending on what the admin team wants out of the group, changes, but the people never change. Now we got to get her over 1,000. What do we got to do to get her over 1,000? I bet you Edward could help get her over 1,000. Yeah, Ian, you did well with the Balfouri. That was a big boost to your channel. That the Balfouri communal. And it only really only does take one video, and you got to hit it right. I mean, I took a small video. It's on Instagram yesterday of that old tummy. I was trying to take a picture of it, and I noticed the sete hair moving all over the place, and it was they move their sete depending on the vibrations, and they're picking up not only vibrations but smells, and so I filmed it like 20 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever it was. It's really cool how the hairs are just going all over the place. If you go on Instagram, look it up. I think it's also on the Tarantula community group. I might have put it on there, but Facebook killed the quality a little bit, so you don't see it as well as you do on my phone. Yeah, I agree, Edward. I like when people all can progress and move forward. Yeah, mine was the same, Ian. People that I worked with in the beginning to help them get to a certain point, and then they blew up. They didn't want to come back and help, and that just kind of agitated me. There was more than one. There was a handful of people that I worked with and helped, and it was like, yeah, I know I'm abrasive sometimes, and my personality doesn't jive with a lot of people and things that I say in live, things like this. I get accused of downgrading or demeaning the YouTube community itself. Like I shouldn't have to like everybody, right? I shouldn't have to like everybody's channels, and I don't have time to watch videos anymore. Yeah, I mean they shouldn't matter, but in a sense they kind of do, JP. And I mean everybody has goals, and they want to set goals up to a certain point. Like I wanted to hit 3,000 last year in July and never even come close. When I turned 50, that was my goal, hit 3,000 subscribers. But then I stopped doing videos, so you really can't. If you're not active and you're not putting out videos, you're not gonna grow. You keep the same people that watch will consistently watch because they like what you do, but getting the new people to come and stay. I mean, I just looked at my statistics the other day. 75% of the people that watch my videos aren't even subscribers, so I'm sure that's the same way with a lot of people. They don't want to subscribe. They don't take the time to hit the subscribe button. They just want to watch videos real quick and be done with it. Yeah, that sucks when they demonetize. I had videos demonetized and I don't even know what for. I'm reading your comments right now, so bear with me. Yeah, I'll watch people that I'm not subscribed to every now and then, you know. But it's rare that I actually watch videos anymore. If it is, it's highlights of Bruins games or something like that, or um, I can't remember the last Tarantula video I watched. I mean, it's sad to say, but I don't watch them anymore because the stuff that I needed to learn from watching them before I've learned, and now I'm at that point where okay, now I just want to get that information out to everybody. Watching the fun videos every now and then, like we'll say Holly's Tea Blondie molting or something like that. Pop in and take a look at stuff like that just because it's it's cool to watch, and I like when people are excited in their videos and you see the passion for the hobby, not the passion for YouTube. There's a little line there, and you know, taking YouTube here and the hobby here and putting them together and walk this line is one thing, but when you're YouTube and you're using the hobby for YouTube, how many people just continually buy stuff for the channel so that they have something new to show, not maybe they wanted it, but you still got to, these bigger channels got to keep putting stuff in because they got to keep putting stuff out or people are just going to leave. And it doesn't matter how many subscribers you have, it's how many people watch your videos. That's the big thing. I need more people from the United States in here. I'm not saying anything bad about you guys. I'm enjoying that, but I want to talk about Amy's giveaway for T. Caledonia. It's not going to do me any good if you guys can't do it over there in Europe. It's got to be done here in the United States. And also, there's one thing that we can just briefly discuss. You'll see things going around for Tom Patterson. The whole U.S. import. I mean, it doesn't make no difference to you guys over there in Europe. I mean, it's hobby related to us really, and what we're going to be able to import in the future. Fighting the U.S. FWS, trying to reconfiscate a import that was taken from him 2 years ago, and fines that he is trying to fight, the increment of fines and penalties, because he might lose the license, and we don't want that. Tom's such a great guy. He does so much stuff for so many people. Oh, here we go. We got Ryan in here. There's another one from Texas, or from the United States. I don't know why they keep... I think he will, Christian, only because what I think USFWS did wasn't legal. They may thought it was, and government can hide behind government, and they can say, well, this is how it's supposed to be, but that's not really how it translates. And then when you get someone actually can get the money to take them to court, I mean, USARC, they lose to USARC almost every single time that USARC takes them to court. So you would think by now they would know, but they're going to flex their muscles as much as they can, and I don't know what they're getting out of it. Yeah, and you're right, Christian. It's not just Brazil. I mean, there's a lot of countries that say it's illegal to export stuff out of their country. Paraguay is one. Chile is now one that they don't want stuff sent out. I know there's more. And a lot of them are from South America. And I think a lot of areas in Africa are also that way. And I think you'll see the countries that do that are the ones that do not allow you to keep things that are endemic from that area. So like someone from Brazil, I don't believe is able to keep an animal that they catch from Brazil legally. So I don't know if Chile's that way, but I know they're, South Africa, I mean, Vic can attest to that you can't keep stuff that you find in your backyard. Yeah, that's true, JP. We do have to stand up, and I mean, I know it's a substantial amount of money, for court costs and lawyer fees, and I think they're trying to raise $20,000 as a GoFundMe account for it. I mean, if anybody, again, I don't know how much backing we'll get from the European hobby itself, but anybody wants to donate, go to the Tarantula community, look in the announcement section. There's a link there that takes you to, the GoFundMe. It'll take you to the TKC, or the Tarantula Keepers Coalition, link that takes you to a GoFundMe. Within, I think the first hour and a half yesterday, they were already up over $1,000. So people really respect Tom, and they'll be more apt to get behind someone like that had this problem than maybe somebody else. But hopefully, some of the bigger vendors and bigger breeders across the country will help out here. I've seen a lot of $100 donations yesterday. It's kind of nice to see the people. We want to get this right, because it could affect us going forward as well here in the United States, and what we're allowed to have, what we can import and what we can. And you remember the T. Caledonia were brought here legally. They okayed the shipment. They okayed the species. It was not marked something different. It was marked the T. Caledonias. They okayed it. And then when they got it here, they confiscated it. And, I think that was kind of crappy. It's almost like entrapment. And it's hard for us. It's hard for you guys, or hard for someone in Africa or someone in Australia to know other countries' laws. I mean, we go through it a lot where you'll have companies there in Europe, Poland, Germany are two of the biggest ones that want to try and, well, you guys there in England know too, that they want to try and import stuff here or sell stuff to our people here in the United States without any kind of licensing because you don't need it over there. We do. We have to have an import license here. And just because you can send them doesn't mean that we're allowed to receive them. Plus, when they get here, if you do, they do sell them and people do buy them because it happens all the time. We have brown boxing done all the time here. People get them and then they go to a port, they get put into the postal service, and then the USPS sends them, and it's illegal to send them that way too. It's crazy the things that go on here, but we want to get this hobby right here. We got to get all this stuff taken care of. Okay, because for like a normal everyday citizen, for like me, I can't just say. I think I can order 2 or 3 spiders and have them brought in under home or self researching. So they would never leave here, you know. But it's a small little loophole, and it's not worth trying to get through. By the time that, I pay $40 for a spider here versus $20 for a spider there, and the shipping to get it here, and the time it takes from there to get here, I know our biggest problem is our shipping. It's expensive as hell to ship here, and that's what deters people when they're like, well, I can buy 20 spiders from this guy in England, and the shipping is next to near nothing for the same amount as I'm just paying for shipping here for one spider. So a lot of people try to do that, and we don't understand that if you get busted, you're going to go to jail for a long time. You're going to have huge fees, and people don't understand that because they don't read, they don't understand. They just don't understand what's going on or how it works. Yeah, there's tons of stuff over there, JP, that you guys can have that we can't, like Egyptian predatory beetles we can't have here. The rhino stag beetles we can't have here. Anything that can be looked at as an animal that can invade here and live, they generally do not want them brought in, especially beetles, locusts, stuff of that nature that they call, we'll call pest animals. No, T. Saldonio were not 100% legally exported to Europe. The first group of them were smuggled out. They were smuggled out into Poland. This can be traced back. It's been traced back a couple times already. There are people that say they had permission, but until I see documentation, they're smuggled. And I know that the first group of them that came from Brazil were smuggled into Poland. They were bred in Poland and then moved to Germany and bred in Germany. Yeah, I got a lot. I don't say half. I don't even know how many species I have from Brazil. To be honest with you, I never really sat down and paid attention to it. Yes, the first group of T. Saladonias that came here were through an importer, but I want to say it was from Poland, not Germany, but I could be wrong. And they were legally exported from Germany or Poland here. The paperwork was legal. They knew what was coming in, and I think there was a group that came in prior to that too. Well, I think they came a couple times, maybe 1 or 2 times prior to this seizure, and it was all because Brazil decided to call and say, "Hey, we have this law, and we want you to enact it through your Lacey Act." But their law wasn't originated till 1998, and I mean, do I believe we really couldn't pass off that T. Saladonius came to Europe before 1998. We know that for a fact that they'd be all over the hobby right now. It was just a couple years ago that they were brought there, secretly bred, paired a couple times before they actually got sent here. And Pulp Friction, and I believe one other person, did the first importing of them here. And then, boom, we had that stupid blow up with the Lacey Act, and Pulp Friction was sitting on thousands upon thousands of dollars of little baby T. Saladonius they couldn't move. They're just finally going out. I mean, I got one, like I said, you guys saw it on the thing. I got one as a gift from Amy. A lot of people have them now. So the more that they're out there, the less that they're, I don't know what's going to happen. I I don't think that there'd be a case that he would lose. If it's argued correctly and the proper facts are brought aboard, I don't know what the USFWS can say because they've had all this time, 2 years, to come up with some kind of paper saying this is why they're illegal and this is the end of it, and they haven't done it. So there were a group of people that from Germany that did bring them in also illegal. I don't know, again, how many people did it from Europe, but it seems always to originate in Poland and Germany. Those are the two places that, for some odd reason, everything starts there. It's like the origination of the hobby of new species gets blown up out of those two countries. I think might have missed a couple comments. But anyway, anybody that's in here from the United States, there'll be a link down below for Amy's thing, and I'm going to do just a short video, maybe later tonight, just specifically on that to help her get those. What she's doing is she's selling a sticker, okay, a Tarantula Keepers Coalition sticker for $10. You buy the sticker, you get put into a pot, but it's a raffle. It'll be a randomizer number, however they do it, or square. I think they did last time. If you win, you get the T Caledonia shipped to you. All the proceeds from this sale or this raffle will go to the TKC, Tarantula Keepers Coalition. She's not keeping any of this money. This is all being donated. She's still driving to get the money that we need to purchase that tract of land in Sri Lanka to try and save some of the new species of Peace-Left area, and they'll be able to. I think there's one or two species on that area, and some other things. That's where the burpees come from as well, I believe. The burpees come from Sri Lanka. I can't remember. There was some crazy bluish spider that came from that same area, and the scientist is trying to buy this. It's 15 acres or something like that of land, and it would cost $15,000 US, and I think she's up to like $7. So they did send that money, and they are holding off. They eliminated the timeline to, you only have this amount of time to come up with this money to get this land. And there's going to be a research facility built on the property. It's all involved with this $15,000, I believe. So go read the stuff on the Tarantula Keepers Coalition page. There's a lot of stuff in there that, people give them a hard time because they feel like they're just pocketing the money and, not doing the things that they're doing. Some of the things that they do, like this whole thing's been going on for 2 years, and they weren't allowed to speak about it because of, the legalities of it, and the lawyers didn't want it to get out, so they wanted to do all their background stuff prior to the announcement of all this stuff. So yeah, go check them out. I mean, if you have a spare $1 or $2 or $5, throw it in their fund, and let's try and save some of these species out in the wild, and get some of these scientists the ability to work with these animals. The problem we have, you have some well-known arachnologists that are so far behind in everything that they're doing. They don't have the time, they don't have the money. We need more people doing this. It'd be great if you could get a couple people working with Volker strictly over there in the Asian area, and getting through the Chelobrachys and Lampropelma, Haplopelma, Cereopagopus, all those different genus over there, or genera, that need work getting them specified. But it takes money and time and effort. How you doing, Robbie? Yeah, so we got a Cochiana brunipes yesterday as well too, and another Semmelpaeus cambridgei, a small one. I've not had a female over them yet. I keep getting males. So I said, it was Sean's last one, so I said, what the heck, we'll grab it, see what happens. Maybe we can make a female out of that one. I can't believe we're not getting any of my American friends. This is usually the way the chat goes, isn't it, though? It's mostly European people that are coming over and checking it out. Yeah, they'll be more than happy to help. I know sometimes I give you a hard time, but it's not anything personal. I just want to make sure that all the information that is going out there is as correct as it possibly can be. Well, hello, Holly. I hope you're doing okay. Getting ready for school. Glad to see that your tea blondie made it out of its molt okay. I haven't had I have 140 some spiders here. I don't think I've had a molt in, boy, I can't even tell you how long. I found one in the Federal Villicella enclosure the other day, probably a week old or so, but nothing big. My bigger spiders are molting. Yeah, I saw that. It is she, right? She is getting large, but she's 7 inches, 8 inches now. It's a good sized spider. I have some rehousing to do. I moved my. I don't know if you guys, anybody uses these. This is this American company. They're called Blue Beta, but they went out of business. This is like a 2.5 or 3 gallon little enclosure. It's got a screen lid, but I have not had any problems with screen lids. I know a lot of people are anti-screen lids, but um, I moved my Brachypelma classy out of this, the 8x8 Exoterra, into that because it's a little bit longer, and where she made her burrow is right by the door of this thing, so I want to move her out of there. I'm trying to figure out who I want to put in that now. I have Homoeoma chilensis, two of them. One of them could go in there. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Or I would put the Grammostola actaeon in there because I love that spider, but it's a male. Maybe the Grossa, that one might be a male too, though. I'm having a hard time figuring out who to put in there. I have another one of those blue beta enclosures that I think I'm going to put my juvenile female Tarantula Mozambique in there. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the glass only because of the weight. You know, they add that extra weight to the enclosure, and depending on what you're putting in there, especially burrowing species. Now you see, hold on, I'll get another one. But there's this one too. So it's a little bit. This is about 8 inches wide, right? Yeah, it's about eight inches wide by 8 inches high, roughly, maybe a little over 8 inches by 3 or 4 inches wide. This will be for my Lironathus giannispositoi when I decide to rehouse that one, now that I have 3 of them. Nice fossorial enclosure. We'll tape off some of the screen so we can keep it a little bit more humid in there. Yeah, the weight's murder. I mean, I like them. I like the 8x8 by 12s. I think those are plenty big enough. I got my female Poecilotheria sapusca, or species highland, whatever you want to call them anymore, in those, as well as my Salmos, my Armenia, my 2 Pulcher females, my Victoria. I also have my female Hottie Hottie in one. You know, she's supposed to be arboreal. She has not shown 1 ounce of wanting to come out from below the ground. She's burrowed all the way down the bottom. She's been like that ever since I got her. Yeah, these are glass. Holly, these are glass. The ones I'm showing you, they're definitely glass. I don't mind the critter keepers, except for I wish they would have clear plastic lids instead of the colored lids. I don't like the dark lids. Again, if you set your spiders upright, you really shouldn't have a problem worrying about one of them hanging on the lids when you take it off. But that's the reason I'm not a big fan of it. I like either opaque, something that you can kind of get an idea of shadowing behind it. I don't like those, the reds or the greens. I mean, I have 2, one red or one black, one green. I think I still have another one that hasn't been used yet too. Then I have these three smaller ones, tiny ones, you know, about this big, and then one medium size up there. I have so many enclosures sitting around it. I don't have anything in them yet. It's once I move this bed, going from the queen size to a single bed, I'm gonna have a little bit more room to work. So yeah, I mean glass is okay. I mean I would like glass if I had the area to keep them all. You know, if I had shelving units all the way along one wall, I would have all in glass. Because then, you know, me, I stack mine. So if I'm not stacking them, I would prefer the glass, um, because they get enough ventilation through that mesh lid or plastic lid or whatever you put on top. You would prefer the air circulation. You know, I always say, if you're going to build them with glass, you should be able to drill the glass. You should always drill holes right above the substrate level. And anything that you have, it doesn't matter what species you have, whether it's arboreal, whether it's terrestrial, whether it's fossorial. Fossorial species, I'll drill holes down low too, especially once they establish a burrow. I'll poke a hole or two in the area where their burrow is just to let air through that area. Even though, like, you take my C. lividus, she's got so much silk lying around there, you couldn't even penetrate that with air anyway. But yeah, you should have lower level of ventilation. That's huge, and people don't understand. You know, you get the mesh lids with glass, you don't drill them. You know, not many people drill holes in the glass. The critter keepers, some people will drill some holes in them, most people won't. You'll get the air in there, but if you could circulate the air from the ground up, you can make your enclosures more humid than you normally do, because you're going to filter off some of that moisture, and it's got some place to go. So it's going to circulate this way and come up, especially if you have decent air circulation in your area. Like, you know, in the summer, spring, and fall, I have the ceiling fan that moves, so there's air movement here quite often. But getting ventilation holes down below is crucial, especially if you're dousing them with water. Maybe I'll check that out later, Holly. See what your rehouse, or should I just should I just be surprised? Yeah, I would do that too, Robbie. If I had shelves that were sturdy enough, that could hold the weight of the glass plus everything that's inside of them and not warp at all, you know, thicker wood, that's what I would do. I definitely would go with glass on as much as I possibly could, especially fossorials, because you know the ventilation isn't as important. You get isopods and some springtails in there, and you don't really have to worry about too much of anything. Yeah, if you could build the mesh into the glass or drill the glass with a hole saw, you know, a glass hole saw, and put, you know, that stuff in there. I was never a fan of those mesh screens on the side. I don't know. I just didn't like the looks of them. It's not that they're not appropriate to use. I just never really, aesthetically, they weren't pleasing to me. Oh, the Dolichotele diamantinensis, one of my favorite species. I love them. I have two. One's a real young male and the little tiny sling. Yeah, they will. If there's fish in there and you don't feed them anything else, they'll definitely eat the fish. I've never really had luck with Hysterocrates anything. I've had species Benin, Laticeps, and what's the other one? Gigas. I've not kept one of them alive. Um, I don't know why. I kept them damp. I've kept them dry. I've done everything. There's just certain species, for some odd reason, that people have problems with. That's one of them. That's one genus for me that gave me problems, and then the Pseudoclamaris gigas is the other one. And that's the one I'm determined that I'm going to get right. That I'm going to get it as a sling, and I'm going to raise it all the way up through. I'm not going to be satisfied until I do, but now I can't find any. Yeah, I think all the Hysterocrates do. I mean, the gigas, they're generally found, you know, along in areas of riverbanks. That's so they're used to damper areas. But see you later, tarantula dude. Oh, you have a good night, so or yeah, so I like to call you Sophie Holly. Have fun at school. Make sure you study hard. Maybe that's quite possible. By the time I make another video, yeah, I'm gonna do a tour video next. I think until this room is a little more user friendly, the feeding videos have gotten a little more difficult. Closures are getting bigger, spiders are getting bigger, prey's getting bigger, less room on the table to put stuff on. So once we decrease the size of this bed in half, I'll have that whole area to work with. Not room to put more spiders, just room to work with. Hold on one second. Oh, I keep talking, but I'm gonna minimize you guys here for a second. And a couple people looked at it. Well, here's the thing, Tarantula dude. I don't know that say anybody's ready for it. You just do it, and you learn as you go. I have not yet. I have not had successful slings. I've had successful sacks, yeah, egg sacks. My Selmopaeus Armenia ate hers 3 days before I pulled it. GBB ate hers 3 days after, maybe 3 days or to a week after she laid it. My Penelorus, D. Penelorus, I think I kept her a little bit too warm, so the egg sac dried out. My Seriocosmus Ori, 2 times. First time I wasn't ready for it. She laid it much quicker than I thought she would. And I dried those out, both of them. So it's a learning process. So hopefully the pairing of these two pulkers will be the ones I finally get little babies out of. You know, I'm just going to leave. I think I might just leave it with them. Or I'm going to take them out and try the deli cup with damp substrate in them. Put the eggs in there and see how that works. Because the things that I've tried so far have not been successful for me here. And I think it's finding what works for you in your area. Because what might work for someone that's breeding in Arizona may not work for me here. You may get them too humid or too dry, or you know, it's just finding that happy medium. But eventually we'll get this right. Yeah, it's selective breeding, Christian. I think a lot of people, but the problem is that some people just want to do it one time to be successful, to find that thing. And some of the easiest species are those kinds of species, you know, the baggins. The Toledo genus seems to be a little bit easier than the Brachypelma genus. Uh, People don't understand that because they were all one genus before, but not anymore. Seems like Albopilosums and baggins seem to be a little bit easier to breed than Homorii and Smithy and Oratum, you know, some of them other ones. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, you don't need tons of them here either. You know, Para has got 1,000, maybe 2,000 babies in it. The Nandu Colorado Velocis that I'm trying to get those two to pair will have, you know, close to 1,000 if successful. It's just finding the right people to wholesale them to, or give them away to. You know, you can always find schools that have biology classes that teachers might be interested in doing, you know, research throughout the year with them, so you can send them, you know, 50, 60 of them, and their students can each have one in school to raise. They can chart growth rate and, you know, what they eat. You know, when they finally, of course, they're not the first year. This would be an ongoing thing that they could do, and then they could compile the data over a course of, you know, years. I think it would be kind of a cool way to do it. And that's I mean, that's what my plans are for these bigger ones like Nandu Colorado velocis. The polkers are easy to move because they're an underrated species, and there's not tons of them out there. So my Celedonia is not settling in, but I guess that's kind of normal. Yeah, it's so tiny. It was just a second instar coming here. It's not even attempted to make a trapdoor at all. It has eaten. Matter of fact, it's due to eat today. We're going to try the first live feeding. We're going to throw a fruit fly in there and see if it'll take live. I've been feeding it cricket legs, and it's taken the cricket legs every single time. So I do give it water every 3 days, and I've been trying to feed every 3 to 4, but it seems like one feeding it'll do it. The next time I try it, a day later or 2 days later, I'm pulling a cricket leg out of there. So so far so good. I'm getting it through the first molt or two is going to be the big thing, and getting it out of the enclosure that's in it. I want to get it into something that's like this size, 50-gram vials, but square. I hate round enclosures because they're next to near impossible to get good pictures through because they're rounded. Where are you? This is my Vicularia. Oh, there you are. This is my Vicularia marinae, one of the two that I had. This one wasn't doing so well. And I moved it out of the enclosure that was in and put it in here, and it burrowed. I mean, there's nothing up here for it to climb on, but it could have webbed all this up here, and it didn't do it. And this one's getting rehoused today. Yeah, humidity shouldn't be an issue. Just let them, incubate them. And it's the problem with that is when they're coming out a second instar, then you got to catch them all. That's the problem that I don't want to deal with, is trying to catch 100 little tiny babies inside of a 8x8 Exoterra, because you got to get mom out of there, and put her off to the side for a while till you catch them all. And I don't know. I'd rather do it where they're in a deli, pull it at 30 days, between 24 and 30 days, as long as, I've seen people they don't do anything. They don't really get the enclosures too humid. They don't get them too dry. They just let them, they take them out as an egg sac and put it into a coffee filter in a 32-ounce deli cup or a 16-ounce deli cup with a 32-ounce deli cup below it with water in it and some holes poked in to circulate that water, and they do it just fine. Other people said that didn't work for them, that they needed to do the damp substrate instead. That worked better for them. So it's just finding that, what it is that I'm messing with water dishes here, getting fidgety. Yeah, too much humidity is bad. Too much humidity, too much heat. It's finding that perfect area. It seems that most people are saying between 70 and 76 degrees seems to be a good ideal temperature to just let the egg sac do what it needs to do. Oh man, this egg sacs are crazy. Yeah, Amy said that, I'm answering Ian, Amy said that she had some, the first group that she had, some of them took like 6 months before they made a trapdoor. So as long as they're eating and molting, I'm okay with that. I don't, necessarily need them to have a trapdoor. They're cool that way, but I just want them, I just want it to succeed. I want it to flourish and grow, and, we're going to need as many of these as possible here to pair them, to make more of them, because I don't think we're going to be able to bring them in anymore. Yeah, see, my evenings are my problem. The days I don't have an issue with. It's 67 to 72 generally here during the day, and I don't know, the spiders, they may not eat as much, and they may molt less often and grow a little less often than, or less slower pace than some other people's spiders are, but I don't mind that at all. Well, they're really pretty. In person, You know, I was never a fan. I didn't really particularly see the hype in them. You know, I just thought it was going to be an overhyped spider. You know, they're small and tiny and fragile, and but the success that Palp had with them, breeding them and raising them, and losing very minimal animals out of all those is, you know, it kind of said, okay, well, maybe we'll give it a try one day. But I mean, if Amy wouldn't have said, hey, I'm giving you one, and you're going to learn to like it, I probably wouldn't have picked one up. But I'm glad I did. You know, it is, although mine's a jumper, so I have to be careful, and it likes to, where is it? Back here. Yeah. It likes to hang out on its little sponge. You guys probably won't be able to see it. It's right under, and that's the crevice that it likes to stay under right there. I know the lighting's not going to be good for you, but, and it likes to curl up. You know, it likes to curl up like it's, I don't know where all my flashlights are. We'll use this. Ooh. It almost curls up like it's, you know, like they would go into a death curl. That's the way it always sits in like a ball. I don't know if you guys can see. Probably can't see, can you? See it right there. It just sits in a ball. Doesn't move a lot. Moves when I put water in there because it doesn't like it when I do it. But then you'll see it, you know, grabbing some water off the sides. Oh, my flashlight's sitting right next to the enclosure. Idiot. Yeah, I would be kind of curious on the communal setup of those, because I guess if you have a big enough area, they're going to build their own trap doors somewhere. But yeah, I'd like to see it before I would jump on board with that. I'd like to see that, you know, a communal setup of them from day one to, you know, day 365, without any cannibalism, and you know, them growing well, and stuff like that. People have been saying, you know, you can communalize a lot of different spiders. That, I mean, Avix were a huge one. You can communalize probably a lot of different species in the beginning for a little while until you can't anymore, and they just start eating each other. I think you could do it with OBTs. You know, if you give them enough area, and I know that. Um, why can't I think of her name? Marilyn Moore did it with some OBTs, but I don't think that she had a big enough enclosure for them. And I think she did it with 4 and ended up with 1 in the end. It's not something that I want to do or try, but I bet you there's a lot more species in the beginning when they're slings to a certain point that may live that way perfectly fine until they don't. The same thing with Poecilotheria. You may get some that will live their whole entire lives communally, and then the next time you do it, you know, they'll start killing each other off as juveniles. You just really don't know. And I don't think it really has a lot to do with feeding and the frequency of feeding or anything else like that. I just think it's tolerability. You know, you just may have some spiders just don't want to be around anything else. They want to be solo, and those are the ones that end up taking everything else out. I think there's some scorpions. I think scorpions are more communal than spiders are. You know, I know, like the Centruides, Gracilis, you could keep those communally. As a matter of fact, I've seen people that have had 20, 30 of them at a time, and they never had problems with them. You know, you give them some vertical bark and a bigger enclosure. That's, uh-oh, did we lose the chat? Nope. I thought I lost it, but I guess not. I think Heterometrus will be okay for a while. Again, as long as they're relatively close to size. We did it with 4 here, and the 2 big ones killed the 2 small ones. We didn't know it, because they were buried. All four of them burrowed way down deep, and we didn't know that the other two, the two bigger ones, killed the two smaller ones. But found out when we went to move them, and there was only two left. And there are certain ones like the Smerangiris. I don't believe those would be a communal. The dune scorpions, I don't think those would do well in a communal setting. Desert hairy scorpions, definitely not. They like to be solo. But there's tons of them that can. I think there's more scorpions than other ones. But I'm just not a big scorpion guy. I've tried a handful. Some of them I've enjoyed. I have the two Centruides gracilis. These two have been the best two scorpions I've ever had, as far as eating is concerned. These guys eat whenever I put something in there. Never had a problem when they're still tiny. They're only about yay big. But even my first one that I got was an adult, and that one just, I couldn't get them to eat. Yeah, I would imagine death stalkers too, yeah. What is the species that this new Salmopaeus species that they're talking about? I have not heard any word. I mean, we know the species Alquatron are there, and I think they're going to be in the hobby real soon. There are some here, but they're just females. We have no males here in the States right now, but I'm curious to see what this new species of Salmopaeus is, where they're from. I mean, when Mendoza discovered the Victoria, they didn't even release exactly where in Veracruz they are, because they don't want anybody going there and just scooping a bunch of them up. But yeah, I've not heard, other than species Alquatron, I have not heard of another new species of Salmopaeus that's been discovered or specified or. Oh, there's tons of them. I mean, Brachypelma albopilosum, not Brachypelma anymore, right? Teetle-coddle albopilosum have been found, yards from each other. It doesn't really make them communal. To me, communal is Balfouri, where they're crawling all over each other, even in the wild. Villicella, I've seen videos of Villicella that, were in a stump, and Gabonensis as well, where they were crawling on each other. That to me is communal. The Catopelma olivaceum is supposed to be a good communal species. People just haven't tried doing it. Where they found two or three of them in a burrow in the pine forest together, or under rocks together. So to me, that's communally. Or again, I think communal is more tolerability than it is anything. They say that Balfouri thrive better when they're kept communally, and it's because they're fed more often, because you don't want them to eat each other, so you're feeding them more often. So I think that's why they grow faster than a solo Balfouri. It's not because there's some magic thing about them that makes them grow quicker because they're kept together. It's because of the amount of time you're feeding them is different than what you would feed a solo spider. Unless you're one of those, I got to feed my spiders every day or every 3 days kind of person, I don't think you'd see a difference. I mean, the female that I've had has grown more. She's doubled her size since the males were taken and sent away. She's gotten way bigger because they were all from the same sack, and those two males outgrew her like 3 to 1 every molt. They would molt 2 or 3 times before she would molt once. And again, you could say the male and female thing, but I don't really believe that that's exactly the whole science behind that. I don't know that she just wasn't eating as well as the other ones were. I mean, when she went by herself, she molted 3 times, and she's been by herself and molted 2 times when she was in a communal, Well, these 2 times that I knew of. I'm sure she molted more than that, but. Balfouri, is that what you're talking about, Tarantula Dude? If so, yes, they have been. They in Socotra Island, it's kind of like a rocky and coastal area, and they've been found in groups of many, generations upon generations upon generations. Insei is the same way. You can find them communally in the wild, just not as often as, I mean, people do them here. Um, Chase Campbell's had, I think, 4 or 5 generations of Ensei in an enclosure. They just keep breeding, and he doesn't take them out. He sells some, but he just lets them be, and they've been fine. As sure as there cannibalism, I'm sure there is. I'm sure that it's no different than any other animal in a group setting. Even in chimpanzees, right? If chimpanzees got one weak member that's sick or dying, they will destroy it. They will get rid of it. So they don't want that weak link. So I'm sure it's the same with spiders. It has to be. Pheromones and everything else that goes on with these animals that you don't see or really read about or hear about a lot. There has to be some type of way that they understand, in a setting like that, maybe, hey, you know what, I got 10 Balfouri in this enclosure, but this one's real weak. It's not eating real well. It's just not doing well. The other ones may just kill it. They don't want it to die, so they just may kill it because they don't want to bring any predation. They don't want to bring any predators to them. So that weak one may be a red flag, or not a red flag, but a bullseye saying, hey, come kill me and eat me because I'm not doing so well. And while you're at it, here's my other 9 buddies that you can take too. So they kind of get rid of it. I mean, that's a theory of mine anyway. It makes sense, but yeah. So Balfouri, I had 5, 5, yeah, 5, 3 in one communal, 2 in another. The 2 that were together were from separate sacks. Um, they were in one small enclosure, and the other 3 that I got in were actually 2 instars behind these ones. When I joined them, these ones here had molted 2 times more than these 2 that were by themselves, or together by themselves. Put all 5 of them together, and they were like that for, I don't know, 6, 8, 9 months in a mini football helmet display case. And I was like, okay, they're getting a little bit big. I need to move them. There were only 3 left. So the other 2 got killed and eaten. Whether they did it during molt, maybe they got stuck in a molt, and the others knew that they were going to die, so they just killed them. I don't know. I have no idea. You can't see them because they web everything up and they're underground, and you really don't know what's going on. But the 3 that I had left, 2 ended up being male that matured early last summer, and she just matured as a female with this last molt late fall, late December. So I mean, she's breedable. She's probably on the first stages of being breedable as far as maturity is concerned, but she's full grown. She's as big as a Balfouri is going to get. But she's been doing great. Since I moved her out of her football helmet display case into the large critter keeper. That's one of the ones that's in the large critter keeper. Her and my E. murinus is in the other one. But yeah, they do okay. I still think a lot of it has to do with heat feeding. Is going to be dependent on what your animal does. And you have weak ones. There's weak ones. I don't care what anybody says. You're going to raise spiders for a long period of time. You're going to have losses. It's nature. It's going to happen. Whether people want to admit it or not. A lot of people don't want to admit that they've lost animals over the course of their keeping careers. That makes them look like less of a keeper. But some slings are just weak. They're not all supposed to make it. Balfouri, I'll probably breed her this summer. I want her to molt one more time, and then we'll find a male for her. It's killing me because there's males all over the place right now. One of my good friends has got 4 of them, and I've been tempted to grab one and try, but I think I want her to molt one more time. Not that it matters. I mean, if I put a male in there and she eats him and kills him, it's not that big of a deal. He could just live in there with her, and if she does become gravid and has babies, they're just going to stay with her anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I do want to wait one more. We got the Nandu Colorado Blows, the 2 Pulkers. C. elegans, I think, is going to be the next actual pairing that we do. We got a male. Sean's got a male. We got 2 males, actually. So we may see him in 2 months and have him bring it, or he might just mail it to me. We'll try to pair this lady up and see what happens. And I want to do the D. penniloris again too. I got to get this guy housed too. There he is. Brought him home yesterday and put him in with the female. He did his vibrating in the beginning, and that was about all he did. And then he wandered for a little bit and settled on top of her cork bark. Well, I had him on bed with me, trying to, with my ruler, trying to make sure that they don't attack each other. And every time I would move, because I would get uncomfortable and my leg would start falling asleep, they both would go into threat posture. He was upside down one time, but she was in threat posture on and off for over an hour. And I said, okay, she's not even made an attempt. She hasn't drummed. She hasn't done anything. So I said, I'm going to separate him for a couple days. Try again towards the end of the week. But I got to get him into something other than this little deli cup. Give him something to roam around a little bit anyway. Probably a 7-quart sterilite container. Because I think I'm going to take my smaller H. chilensis and put her in that 8x8 Texoterra, and then put him in her old enclosure. I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, Gandalf I tried, but the problem was all 4 of them, 2 of them died relatively quickly, and then Allie sent me a couple more, and the 4 of them, I didn't get 3 feedings into them, and they all passed away, which is odd, because I never had problems with African species other than the Hysterocrates. I didn't get them any farther. I had 1 left, and that one's about a big now, just starting to get the orange coloration. So no, it didn't work out like I wanted it to. I'll have to try again. There's just stuff that I'll do. I think next year is going to be a bigger year for me than this year. I think a lot of my African species are going to mature over this course of this year. I know one of my tetes is male. I would imagine in the next molt or 2 he's going to be ready to pair with something. But I have 2 female tetes, 1 Mozambique. They're all mid-sized to large-sized juveniles. So hopefully by next year they'll all be ready to go. Next year I want it to be huge African species stuff next year. We're going to see how my Asian species. I don't think I'm going to be, other than Chilobrachys, the Fimbriatus for sure. She needs another molt or 2 yet, I think, before I can pair her. Other than Chilobrachys and Cyprinathus hosi, once we get that one grown up. I don't know if I really want to breed anything. My Sapusca or species Highland, of course. I don't really think there's many Asian species I want to breed. I think I want to work more with the African species. They're a little bit easier to pair, and although a lot more wrangling around with them, but I'm enthralled with the African species. Period. I have a hard time. I'd like to eliminate a lot of my South American stuff and bring in more African stuff, but I have such a hard time letting things go. That's my big problem. Is that I'm like, oh no, I can't let that one go. And I'm like, oh, I didn't want to get any more Grammostola, and then I got the Grossa and Actaeon, and now, like, oh, I could probably use a couple more Grammostolas, small ones, working with them as large slings into juvenile stages when they're the most fun. I have a hard time just narrowing down, but I do not have a P. metallica. I never had any. There was never one time that I ever wanted an O. Bielosepes. I was given one as a freebie, and it died the day after I got it. It didn't. I think it was the way it was packed. No, I never had any ambition. I would like to work with the Formingocheilus genus. I know that's similar. The Arborea cola is one that I would really, really like to get in. It was supposed to be in my stuff from Pelt Friction. I sure hope that they still have them. So you got about four spiders that are still out there that I had ordered that they forgot. 2 of them, I guess, didn't come in the import, so we got to figure out something different for them. I gave them a list of stuff, so hopefully they get back to me soon and we can get that all stuff taken care of, because I don't think I'll be doing any more buying online. Oh, you know what I got coming on Tuesday? I have 10 Heteropodra David Bowie slings coming on Tuesday. So I want to get at Hobby Lobby. They have these little containers. They're not they're about this size, but they're square. That's they'll be perfect with a piece of cork bark in there or a piece of cork, glued to the side, a little bit of substrate, and we'll see. I got 10 because again, Heteropodra, as small little slings are kind of delicate, so not a lot of them make it. But I'm getting from Tom Patterson, so see them hopefully Tuesday. So that'll be kind of cool. I've always wanted one. The first time I saw them, I thought they were cool, and I've seen a lot of Heteropodra at expos, but never David Bowie's. If I did, I would have got one a long time ago. So that's kind of cool that I'm picking those up. Yeah, I think true spiders are a lot of fun, and some of them they're so small. A lot of them are so small that you don't have to have huge enclosures for them. But some of them, you need bigger enclosures than what you think for them because they do move a lot. Um, I'd like to my wolf spider again. They don't live very long. I was surprised I got her as long as I did. She passed away, I don't know, maybe a month ago, just after Christmas time. Um, and I still have the two Sicarius Thomasoides. One's a male, one's a female. So that's, they're going to be probably another molt away before I'll be able to put those two together, and hopefully those two will breed and pair. But yeah, there's a lot of them. I'd like to get one of them green lynx spiders. I think those things are absolutely fascinating. I'd like to have more huntsman spiders. I need to get them a little bit bigger, so that they're started a little bit. I have a hard time with them, the delicacy of them. I don't know, just something. Again, just one of those things that I struggle with. I've not been able to keep one of them alive. The bow-eye that I had was the one that did the best for me, and it got stuck in its last molt. It was just hanging there. And I was like, oh, it's molting, and then I put it on a shelf, leave it alone, and the next day it was still hanging there. So yeah, wolf spiders are a lot of fun. What I like about them is I can go out in my backyard and catch them at night, or we go down the creek and catch some of the Dolomades species that are around here too. Fishing spiders are a lot of fun. Yeah, I really want to get a lynx spider. I wouldn't mind having a hobo spider too. I think those are kind of cool. I'd also like to do a setup with just a bio setup with millipedes, the little red centipedes that you find underneath wood. I guess they're called wood centipedes. Isopods, Ogliopos, the daddy longlegs, the ones that are just one body. I can't remember their genus name. We call them daddy longlegs here. I know they're not daddy longlegs there, but they're kind of cool. Those are harbistmen. The harbistmen. Those are a lot of fun too. You get a bunch of them together into an enclosure and just do a bioactive thing, and you just throw dead stuff in there and they'll take care of it. And you have crickets die, you throw them in there, and those harbistmen will eat them. Oh, what else? My Madagascar hissing cockroaches had babies. I found that out because there were a handful of them outside the enclosure. Apparently the ventilation holes were just a little bit too big. Yeah, I fed off a couple of them when my piece Fusca or species Highland, when she molted. She's so skinny. She's always been that way. She never plumps up. Doesn't matter what I feed her, how much I feed her. She's not been a great eater, but she was really, really thin, so I fed her almost an adult size hisser, and she took it right down. And then I looked at her like a week later, and it looked like she didn't even eat it. But yeah, those came from Sharon Mormon, one of my subscribers. She sent those a culture of springtails that is going nuts right now. And then some different leaves and pine cones and stuff she sent me, which was really cool. But yeah, I didn't think that they would breed this quick, especially since it's not very warm here. I figured they need it warmer, but they didn't. I've not had problems with dubia. My dubia breed like mad. it's funny because people have, I have the red runners and then I have the dubia. People say, they got to be kept at this temperature for them to breed, but the red runners breed easier. You breed them easier. I don't get as many babies out of those as I do with the dubias, and I don't feed the dubias that much. And that's, I give a lot of them to my brother. He was using them to feed his large chameleon, but his chameleon passed away, so he's not going to be needing them. Yeah, I don't feed the dubias very often. I do like to feed the males off to my bigger females. I'll pick a day and I'll say, okay, well, I'm going to grab 6 or 8 males out of there and I'm going to feed them off, and then I won't look at the colony for a while till I feed them. I don't really pay attention. I'll just throw the carrots or the water gel or whatever it is I'm feeding in there, and then close them up because I got a small colony of the red runners, which are the the little smaller ones in the nymph stages, and then the bigger one, the one dubia, Madagascar hissing cockroaches. I just picked up 500 superworms yesterday at the show, and then I got about 1,000 mealworms. So trying to get those guys to start cycling each other. I use those more for the geckos, the mealworms, than I do for most other things. But I like to use the worms when I do feeding videos because, especially, the African species where the webs, so they get in there and they move around. I seem to get more reaction out of them than I do with roaches because, roaches and crickets are so unpredictable. They go down the hole and you're screwed. You're not getting the shot. You're just feeding the spider, which is fine. But trust me, if I do a feeding video with 12 tarantulas on there, I bet you I fed 40 that day trying to film them, and those are the only 12 that I got really good shots of. But yeah, I go through superworms quite a bit. I do like using them. There's certain species that love them. My GBB would rather eat those than, she's got 2 dubia living with her. She won't eat them. But if I threw a mealworm in there or a superworm in there, she would eat them. My Ecamp Stras will eat anything you put in there. I probably could put an orange in there and it would eat it. I'm trying to think. I need to feed my little brachyspecies electric blue female. I put her in a huge basketball display case. She's over there now, so I don't pay attention to her as much as well as my Harpactira namaquiensis female. That's back here behind me. I'm going to move her over there so that the basketball enclosures are all together. And then we're going to move my Harpactira pulchripes into one of those as well. So those 3 will be the 3 in there. I'd like to pick up one more, but our Hobby Lobby doesn't keep them anymore, so I'd have to order them online if I wanted them. Now, I can feed the dubia to my vag. There's a lot of spiders that will eat them, trust me. I just don't like feeding them off. I don't know, because usually I give my brother some, so I kind of try to keep the colony up and going. But I do notice when I see a lot of males, when I'm feeding, if I see an excessive amount of males, then I'll say, okay, well, I'm gonna schedule a day where I'm gonna feed those males off. I don't feed the females very often, but I use the females for my larger females that just recently molted. So the first couple feedings afterwards, I'll give them big female dubia. That's what I like about them. They're real meaty. I like the red runners because they move, but I don't think I've used a red runner in the last probably a month and a half. I don't think I've fed one red runner off. I can't remember if I used them in any of the feeding videos I've done recently. I just don't remember. I might have. It's so hard to remember what I do anymore, but I know I've had them down and I've had them here. Maybe I have. I don't know. Yeah, my Porteria and my Rosea, they're smaller. The Rosea is a male. They're still young juveniles, and those 2 will have eaten pretty much anything I put in there. But the key to species like that, if people are like, well, they go long periods of time without eating, which is true. But if you don't feed them, if you try feeding them every week, they're not gonna. They may eat, and then fast. If you space the feedings out, you may get a feeding reaction every time that you do it until they go in pre-molt, instead of, well, I fed one and now it doesn't eat in a year. What am I doing wrong? Probably because of 2 or 3 months prior to that, you were feeding them every 3 or 4 days, and they ate every 3 or 4 days, and now they don't need anymore. They process their energy so little that that's all stored energy that they keep. Hour and a half. We're going to go about 5 more minutes, I think, and then we're going to call it a day. I want to get everything cleaned up here and get this rehouse done in my H. chilensis, and then get this male Nandu put into his new home. Yeah, see, he's just like, all you gotta do is barely bump him, and he just goes insane. He was just straight up and down. There's tons of obese spiders on Facebook. People think that they need to feed them, and you got some people think it's funny and cute that their spider is fat. It's not. And Andrew Smith did it. He did a little post on our group. He talked about spiders in the wild. None of them are overweight. None of them. You just don't find, unless they're gravid, you just don't find obese spiders in the wild. You see them more prevalent with our keepers here in the United States. People just have a hard time grasping the amount of time in between feedings that they can go. They think they need to eat all the time, and they don't. And some people just, they're in the hobby, they keep tarantulas just for the high of watching them eat. So they keep feeding them, they keep eating. They without them, I mean, piranha, same way, right? I had piranha, I had 4 of them. I mean, I enjoyed the fish, but I enjoyed them a lot more when I was feeding them. So that's, you know, a lot of people are in the hobby that way. Yeah, a spider looks cool, but it's much cooler when it's taking down a roach, right? Or a small mouse, or a lizard, or whatever it may be. This time of year, I go at least every 2 weeks with my feedings, except for the slings. I try to feed them every week, but a lot of times they won't eat. All right, well, I'm going to head out and do what I got to do. I have to do my checking on the Tarantula community group before I get all this stuff packed back up and see what's going on over there. Make sure everything's going according to plan and everyone's behaving. And then I'm going to start looking at what I want to do with these. I'd like to get my... I'm worried about moving my Mozambique female because she's in pre-molt. I want to put her in that glass enclosure, but I have a feeling if I move her now, and she's, I don't know, I always get worried about moving them when they're this far in the pre-molt, but then I say, well, I want to move her because she's in a vertical enclosure. She's in a very small 4x4x4x7 is what she's in, and she's down below. She comes up, she's been sitting up on top. That's how I know she's getting ready to molt, and a lot of my African species are that way. I see them up a lot. You'll see the elongated abdomen. They stay up there more often than they don't, and she's been up a lot. So I put her behind everything here just to keep her away from everything and a little bit more dark. And hopefully she'll molt soon. But yeah, I'm going to head out. Okay, let me see what JP's got here real quick. Do I think there's anything at the UFOs at Area 51? Yes, I do. I'm not, I can't say for a fact, but I sure believe so. I'm on live. Why? What do you want? Yeah, I'm just wrapping up right now. Okay, so they want to vacuum, so it's going to get noisy. So I'm going to head out and do what I got to do. Thanks everybody for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll do it again sometime soon. We'll try and do this at least once a month, at least. You know, when I get some time on the weekend, we'll do some lives. I know during the week it's a little bit tougher because by the time I get home, it's late for you guys over there, and with most of the people that are watching or in this are Europeans. So, all right, take it easy, and